You set your alarm for 6 in the morning with total conviction to work out, but when it actually rings, your hand automatically hits the snooze button. You made a firm conscious decision, but your body did the exact opposite. Let's call your conscious mind the writer. The writer is logical, focused on the future, and excellent at setting goals. Because we hear the writer's voice in our heads, we assume it is the one fully in charge of our decisions. In reality, the writer sits directly on top of a massive, heavily muscled horse. The horse represents your subconscious mind. It runs on deep, automatic habits and old emotional responses. And if it doesn't want to go to the gym, it refuses to budge. This photograph of an iceberg illustrates the true scale of this power imbalance. Cognitive scientists estimate your conscious thoughts are just that tiny exposed tip. In reality, the subconscious horse handles the vast majority of your mental processing, acting just like that massive hidden bulk underwater. This size disparity explains why relying on sheer willpower usually ends in frustration. You cannot outmuscle an animal that strong. To move forward, you have to learn how to collaborate with the biology driving the horse. This medical illustration shows the brain inside the skull. We typically assume all our intelligence and decision-making happens right here, but this organ is just one part of a much larger physical network. This map shows the vagus nerve, which connects the brain in your head to a second command center in your gut. This gut brain functions like a second brain, independently scanning your environment for information. This network is massive. Your gut contains roughly 500 million independent neurons, all rapidly firing and processing information without you ever having to think about it. Furthermore, this gut network produces over 90% of your body's serotonin, the well-being chemical that heavily influences your mood and your ability to focus. The subconscious horse is a highly active, physical network of nerves. It makes rapid emotional decisions milliseconds before your conscious mind realizes what is happening. We experience this high-speed data gathering as intuition. It's actually your brain guessing the future based on the past, constantly scanning your surroundings and comparing them to your previous experiences to see if they match. This diagram shows how the subconscious stores those memories. When a current situation matches an old memory, your body creates a physical alert, a sensation like a tight chest or a sinking stomach, to tell you how to feel about what's happening. Sometimes this creates clean intuition. Your subconscious correctly identifies a genuine threat or a real opportunity based on high-quality patterns it has seen many times before. Other times, the system gives you a false alarm. These are noisy signals driven by temporary stress, a sudden craving for dopamine, or simple overstimulation. Your body reacts to a harmless shadow on the trail as if it were a predator. To stop self-sabotage, you have to learn to pause and recognize when a feeling is a genuine warning and when it's just a noisy false alarm from your biology. Because your subconscious operates on these automatic pathways, fighting it with conscious willpower is an exhausting and ultimately unsustainable strategy. This diagram shows how the brain physically rewires itself. You interrupt old patterns, the thick, bright pathway, and slowly carve out faint new trails through your mind. You build these by noticing when a bad habit triggers, pausing, and repeatedly choosing a different action. Change happens not by fighting the horse, but by patiently riding a new trail until it eventually becomes the brain's easiest default route. To ride that new trail, your system requires chemical fuel. A chemical called dopamine acts as the driver for motivation and the feeling of wanting to take action toward a goal. This line graph shows the effects of constant digital multitasking. Our environment causes extreme spikes in dopamine, followed immediately by deep crashes. Over time, this overstimulation drains your reserves, leaving the brain without the fuel it needs for long-term focus. You have to physically protect that fuel supply. Providing your body with enough sleep, daily physical movement, and healthy protein is a non-negotiable requirement for your brain to produce these critical chemicals. When you respect the biological needs of the horse and align them with the goals of the rider, reaching your ambitions starts to feel less like a daily battle and more like working with your natural system.